What was that first meeting with Antonio like? I mean, we see him in the press conference, we see him in the building, high energy, going 100 million miles an hour, 24/7. But what I'm curious, when you come in, essentially, coming to interview and learn more about him and more about this place, what were your takeaways from that meeting?
Well, no different from what you see on the outside. Yeah. It's the same guy, which is great.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
You guys are finally here. The Las Vegas Raiders finally got a general manager. Happened to steal him in division, being Mr. Tom Telesco. Right now, we're going to roll over. This is their introductory video for him, which ironically comes before their head coach hiring introductory video. So let's kick it off.
We're hanging out with the general manager for the Las Vegas Raiders, Tom Telesco. And Tom, we were kind of talking about it just now off camera, but what have the past, call it 48 hours, been like for you and the family?
It's been exciting. It just feels refreshing to be here. Walking around with my family just through this building and the way, the way that people treat people here, it's just amazing. I mean, it's just been great people here, tremendous facilities, and I just have a lot of learning to do, like learn all of you guys' names, and we got players and coaches, and I got a lot to do here, but can't wait to get started.
Hell yeah, man. And if you want to know how he got started, I'm going to give you that breakdown real quick. As an executive, he was the Bills intern from 91 to 94, became the Panthers, which is my team, scouting assistant from 95 to 96, became our area scout for the 97 season, hops over to the Colts, where from 98 to 2000, he's an area scout, pro scout 2001 to 2003, where immediately after that, 2003, so he's gone from 91 to 2003. He is now the director of pro scouting for the Colts for the 2004-2005, then moves to director of player personnel for the Colts, 2006 to 2011, becomes VP of football operations for the Colts in 2012, leaves, goes to the then San Diego Chargers, which my buddy, shout out Mike, is a huge Chargers fan. From 2013 to 2023, he was their GM, so 10 years. Now he's going in division from the Chargers to the Raiders. It's just such an interesting dynamic. Telesco has picked some great people. He's brokered some great deals, so the Raiders do pick up a dynamic person, and you're going to need that because you got a lot of building to do moving forwards.
Talk about all the things you're going to have to learn, but one thing that was pretty clear that you don't have to learn is the importance of history in this place, right? We talk about, there's 31 teams, and then there's the Raiders, and we have such a rich history, and it's something we're incredibly proud of. You talked about in the press conference, tangibly being able to see it, the legends on the wall, things like that. I mean, what about kind of the history of this place really attracted you to this position?
Growing up as a kid as a big NFL fan, but growing up in Buffalo, but a Bills fan, but the Raiders were just different. They just stood out from everybody else. That's the way it was when I was a kid, and that's the way it's really been even before I was born, even in the 60s, how they used to stand out with how they do business.
Yeah, they're gritty, man. They're going to rip your head off, and they got a dude, Max Crosby, he ain't no joke.
And it started with Al Davis, and there's just so much tradition here, so many great, from Al Davis to the coaches to the players that have been here, to be a part of that tradition. It's a little overwhelming. Like I said, it's a big this job's a big responsibility. Like, it's talking about a global fan base. Raider Nation is strong. I've been on the other side of that. Coming out of a tunnel. Whether it's here or in Oakland. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough environment to play in. So now to be on that side of that, it's really, really rewarding. But there's just so much to offer here, both tangibly, like this building and the facilities, and the people, and the fit for me I thought was perfect. And I think the team can win. That's the biggest thing. I don't see this as a situation where we have to tear this down and go baseball style, where it's going to take a couple of years to build it back up again. I don't see that. We're going to have to add some things, no doubt. We got to get better, but I think we can compete right away.
Yeah, it's going to be going to get a quarterback. I don't know if Aiden O'Connell's him. Jimmy Garoppolo's not him. What are you going to go get? I mean, it'd be crazy if you could bring God-fearing Russell Wilson there. That'd be a pretty interesting one. I don't know. I just don't see who you go and get to really bridge that gap and really make that happen. It's going to have to be a 2-year rebuild. You're going to have to obviously give Crosby a massive extension moving forwards, because probably the next 2 or 3 years he's going to be your best defensive player. You got to draft well. I mean, you guys got to be honest, a decent road ahead. You're not a It's not a 5-year rebuild. You're probably 2 years from realistically being able to make a good playoff push. But if you end up like nailing some picks in the draft, I could see you being there next year. I mean, look at the Detroit Lions. Everybody said their draft was terrible. And what did they get, like 4 or 5 starters out of it? Like, come on. That's what you need. You need a Detroit Lions resurgence, essentially.
You know, you talked in the press conference about that first kind of meeting with Antonio and the interview, the process that you went through, and obviously he's a part.
Again, weird that Antonio Pierce was an internal hire and you guys haven't made a video for him, but yet you made one for Tom Telesco. I thought it was weird. I hope that AP one is coming up.
Part of that, but what was that first meeting with Antonio like? I mean, we see him in the press conference, we see him in the building, high energy, going 100 million miles an hour, 24/7. But what I'm curious, when you come in, essentially, coming to interview and learn more about him and more about this place, what were your takeaways from that meeting?
Well, no different from what you see on the outside. Yeah. It's the same guy, which is great.
Come on, man. Appreciate you. Do what you do, man. Have fun, man. Come on, have fun. We can be difference makers in a lot of ways, right? A lot of ways.
High energy, genuine, loves football, loves working with people. And there's certain leaders, like when they walk in their room, you can feel them in there and you can feel the presence. And that's what he has. He walks the room and you can feel the presence right away. Now, as far as being a head coach in this league, you got to lead, communicate, and motivate first. So you got to do those first 3 things. And then you have all the X's and O's part of it. But to lead 53 men into a game, you got to have some special qualities. And you can see that even in a meeting room. So.
Were you able to?
I would agree with that. It's also kind of funny that he gets fired after the Chargers play the Raiders, where the Raiders drop like a 60 burger on them. So that is kind of funny that that's his last iteration with the Chargers, and now he goes to the other side. So
get a feel for how much this opportunity meant for him. And he talked about it during the press conference. He goes, I'm a kid from inner city Los Angeles, and this is the team that I grew up watching and rooting for, and now I'm the head coach. Were you able to kind of get a gauge for, on a personal level, how much that meant for Antonio?
I think more after the fact, because I kind of forgot, since the season ended till now, he'd been kind of, waiting to see what was going to happen. So I know what a special day this is for him and his family to, be a head coach, not only in the National Football League, but for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, it's just incredible. So just a great day for him, a great day to celebrate, and then it's all back to work.
Yeah, 100%.
But no, really, really happy for him.
You talked about during the press conference earlier about, I have an understanding of the Raiders as an opponent, but it's a lot different now that I'm here and they're my team. Like, what are those differences like for a casual fan? Like, somebody's like, okay, I know Tom knows them because he scouted them twice a year and played them twice a year for a decade, but what is that big difference in terms of that
understanding? I'll tell you the one big difference. I'm used to walking out and to play the Raiders, you got fans yelling and screaming at you. And then I walk in this building, everyone's got a smile on their face, and it's the nicest place in the world. I'm like, my perception of what this place is, because it's a tough place to play when you're an opponent. So, but there's just some great people in this building, and that's where it starts. So, we talked about a partnership with myself and Antonio, but it's a lot more than that. There's so many more other people involved, scouting staffs, coaching staffs, and all the way down to the support staffs, and what everybody does here. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's like I said, I have a lot to learn here as far as how everything works and how everything is put together, but I'm getting there.
One thing that
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. 10 years with the Chargers, again, an in-division opponent, to then go to the other side is just got to be kind of crazy. And it's going to be funny how many fans are like, man, I really want to go after you, but now you're our guy, so God damn it.
I think the fans were really excited about was your history in the draft, particularly with those first rounders, turning them into Pro Bowlers, obviously with the help of a coaching staff and growing them and maturing them. But when you kind of look back at the history, especially of those first rounders, of guys that have been able to play at a high level, play at a Pro Bowl level, do any of them have kind of a common characteristic, a common trait that they all share?
My response would be, yeah, they should be Raiders.
It's usually intangibles as far as work ethic, preparation, a drive to be great. Those are the things that we're looking for really in every position, in every round, not just the first round. But we, as far as the draft is concerned, we try and take a probability-based mindset, which is we know every player we pick or sign, not every single one of them is going to pan out exactly what we thought. It's just that's not normal. It's human.
Yeah, man, imagine being the person that drafted Trey Lance.
Evaluating humans, so there's going to be some error involved. But a lot of that common quality is really the makeup of the player. Because in the NFL, everybody's good. Everybody on our team was the best player on their high school team, Many were the best player on the college team. So the talent level is so good. You know, what separates you? A lot of times it's preparation, work ethic, and a drive to be great. So that's you try and find those qualities in every player.
You know, you mentioned a little bit about just kind of the understanding this fan base, and it's a unique fan base, a very proud fan base, a very vocal fan base. When you kind of think back to, you know, obviously being with the San Diego Chargers and the Los Angeles Chargers, like what are your memmories of interacting with this group of folks who like to call the Raider Nation?
That they're everywhere, everywhere.
Dude, they're everywhere. I saw a dude today, huge Raiders logo on the back of his bald head. Behind his ear, like literally a palm sized. I was like, man, he is devoted. He's in all black and white, even though it's not all Raiders gear, Raiders cap. They're a devoted fan base, and shout out to y'all, man.
You know, it doesn't matter if it's San Diego or Los Angeles. It could be Buffalo, Philadelphia, Chicago.
That right there, that's fandom. That's so cool.
Chicago, it doesn't matter. They're everywhere, and even where I'm coming from in Orange County, where I had friends there that were Charger fans, and then now that I came to interview here, it's like, hey, just so you know, I was really a Raiders fan, but I was a Chargers fan because of you. But I was really a Raiders fan. So I mean, they're everywhere, and it's just a global fan base. And then it also just like Las Vegas in general, like this is a rabid fan base. Like I've seen what the hockey team has done. So this is really a great opportunity, not just because the Raiders are global, but also locally to get this place going, and that comes with winning.
You know, before we let you go, Tom, you know, we sit here in late January and we're kind of, you know, now approaching the off season, right? And really kicking this thing into gear. But in terms of the next week, 2 weeks, 30 days for you, Antonio, what's on that to-do list? What's number one item that we're attacking right now?
Yeah, number one is the coaching staff. That's the biggest thing. We have to get that set so we know exactly the direction we're going to go in on both sides of the ball. So once that gets set, then we'll start getting more into player evaluation. And you know, part of being a GM is time management and juggling a lot of balls at one time. So I'll be doing a lot of things like on parallel tracks and watching more tape and film of the current team here. But this time of year is making a lot of lists and kind of checking them off because there's a lot of departments I still have to get to know. You know, the training staff, the doctors that work with the players, you know, equipment, video, all that to do. I kind of do that concurrently, but there's a lot going on this time of year.
Yeah, no doubt. And lastly, what do you think is kind of the biggest takeaway you take away from that first GM experience?
You know, it's amazing, this game, like you learn every day, you learn something new. And I know for me, you know, working for 11 years as a general manager, there's things I did really well and there's some things I didn't do as well. And you learn from both of those. And I was lucky, even before as a GM, I worked for Bill Pulling with the Colts, who's in the Hall of Fame, and I just learned a ton just being there every day and just seeing, you know, how he made decisions. And then I went to the Chargers and, you know, tried, you know, follow a lot of those same principles, all those same philosophies. But I'm excited to take all those experiences I had with one team and then bring them all here.
Well, Tom, best of luck. I know everyone in this building is really excited. I know the fan base is ready to go with you and AP at the helm of the ship now. So best of luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I
right?
appreciate it. Thank you.
Shout out to this team right here, the former Oakland Raiders, the former LA Raiders, now finally the Las Vegas Raiders. I hope you're there to stay. It is the perfect organization, the perfect fan base, and more for there. But obviously there's a lot going on in the NFL. I'm glad you guys nailed it at GM. I'm a big Telesco fan. I'm glad you guys got AP. He is a catch of a coach. I'm super excited for the future. I'm super excited that the team is behind the coach. Again, you're going to need some draft capital. You're going to need to draft properly and really prioritize where you want to go with it. But you are this close, really being a contender, especially with Max Crosby going after folks. So just in case you want to see more videos like this, reactions, breakdowns, and more, make sure you subscribe to the socials below. We are on all the podcasting platforms now as well. So I appreciate y'all rolling with us. My name is Nick. Peace.